Thank you very much. We are in Alexandria, in the small town here in the Eastern Cape, where the provincial government will be launching the 16 days of activism against, women abuse in children and women. But we do also understand, earlier on we spoke to the activist group Isikalo, whereby it's led by women, and they entailed, some of the challenges they are facing within this particular community. We do understand that various GBV cases have spiraled out of control in the small town. But to also bring into discussion now, we do have the men's movement, Reverend Xolamzi Sam. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Let's just briefly talk about the men's movement and, its involvement, in such initiatives to also, fight this scourge that we are going through as a country.
Thank you. The Eastern Cape Men's Movement, it does support these movements by the government to fight the scourge of HIV and of GBV, and we mobilize men in the province. Currently, the Eastern Cape Men's Movement has got about 28 organizations that are members of the Eastern Cape Men's Movement. However, this year we want to urge the government to consider setting up special courts for GBV. And also, we are concerned that we woke up to a young man who had killed himself after being falsely accused of rape. So we also want to urge the government to say that, especially the Justice Department, as well as the NPA, that any false accusation of rape should be considered for no less than 15 years punishment in jail. So.
And also just your reach within the Eastern Cape. Let's speak about your reach in the Eastern Cape. We do understand that particularly in these small towns, for instance, Alexandria, Kirkwood, we always have these brutal cases, spiraling. Let's speak about the men's movement's reach, in actually coming into these small towns.
As I've said earlier, that we've got 28 organizations that are members of this movement. Those organizations, part of them are in the rural areas, in most of the municipalities. So they do reach out to us, and then we send people from the province to come and assist them. So we have already covered almost 80% of the Eastern Cape.
All right. Rev, and another thing we also need to discuss is, the psychology or the patriarchy, in society, and the issue of men. That they will always be, the perpetrators, because most of cases we do get that even law enforcement, just brushes it aside. Because earlier on we spoke to a GBV activist, an activism campaign that's led solely by women, and they also are crying that these cases are not followed up, by law enforcement. As the men's movement, how do we then bridge this gap or navigate through this?
All right. In that regard, we have programs as men's movement. One of those programs is dialogues. We get into these communities where we have dialogues with men and boys, women and girls, and also generally everybody. We get to have dialogues with the communities where we try and assist them to say gender-based violence, it's not about fighting for women and children's rights. Everybody is protected by the government. So men are getting to know that they have a right to go and report when they are being abused. And we call upon all men, if they are struggling to report when they are being abused, to please contact us. We will assist in that regard.
Thank you very much, Reverend, for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
That was Reverend Xolamzi Sam, just briefly outlining, some of the initiatives that are done by the men's movement. We do understand that the program will actually kick off, and also a message of support will be coming from the men's movement in terms of also helping fight the scourge of GBV in the country. But from us here in Alexandria, it's back to you in studio.